Thailand. Darren from Phuket, what does it say? It's really difficult to know myself. If I can't know myself, then how can I find my position? How do I find my position? Okay, so that has to do with the last one, which is a really, really important one, which is number 4, is know yourself. And this is something that's going to take some time, right? So these are not things that are just like this last one of knowing yourself isn't something that just magically pops up, especially if you're in high school or middle school, university. These are times where you're exploring and trying to figure out what you're really, really good at. By the time you get to university, you'll have some things that you know in your mind that you're pretty good at. You will. You'll know it, right? And from that time, you have to start kind of developing those things that you find that you like or that you're really, really good at. And by the time, usually when you get to like your work, you're going to start work as an intern, or you're going to start work in some place, and you're going to try multiple different things, and you'll be able to find that out. But number 4 is a little bit more difficult, but it's something that you have to you're actively, constantly doing something. Right? And you have to always have in your head trying to figure out what am I good at, or what do I like to do, and find something that fits in there. And usually people will find it by university or a little bit after university. Cool. Thank you so much, Darren. Great question from Phuket, Thailand. All right, let's go to George. George in Singapore. What if my boss doesn't let me say no? What can I do? Okay. So that's a little bit tougher one, right? Because if your boss doesn't let you say no, which probably means he's not really forcing you, but he's kind of strong-handing you, like saying, come on, man, I really need this right now. You're the only person that can do it, right? If you don't do it, what's going to happen, right? So you have to kind of look at that and say, like, well, what if my boss doesn't let me say no? What can I do? So there's multiple different options. However, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to enable your boss. Enabling means what? Is if every time he asks and you always say yes without any fight back, without any resistance, then you're enabling them, and they're gonna keep coming to you every time. They're gonna come to you first, which means that you have to be very honest, right? And even in the end, if you take it, you're pushing up a struggle saying, hey, boss, I can't do it this time. It's really, really difficult for me. You're probably gonna have to ask someone else. I'm just swamped with this much work, and if you want me to do this, I gotta let you know that I'm gonna suffer in this part of it. Or if you really, really need this right now, it's gonna take me some more time, and you kind of not deal or bargain, but it's more of you're letting them know the real situation and say, hey, and you can even tell them, hey, I understand this time right now, but this will be the last time, right? This will be the last time. Or this time right now I'm too busy, and this will probably be like one of the only times and that I can do this for you. Then it makes him think twice, like, oh, okay, so this guy's standing up for himself. And a lot of times the bosses aren't coming here to take advantage of you. No, they really, really need something, right? Okay, thank you, George. What a great question. Let's go to Sally in Penang. Sally says, how can I implement deadlines if my team is not used to this culture and we're always rushing at the last minute? Okay, cool. So put it this way, no one's gonna understand how necessary it is until it becomes like urgent. Which means that if you tell people beforehand, like before it's urgent, they're gonna say nothing. Which means the next time it gets to that boom, or like, this is what I would do, personally what I would do. Number 1 is, before it starts, I would say, hey, let's get deadlines. Let's do deadlines, because we're always running late. And you put deadlines in first, and you try to keep everyone up to their deadlines. Now, most likely, the people are not gonna keep up with their deadlines. You know what's better? They don't keep up with their deadlines. What happens is, at the very end, when everyone's going through that, then everyone's stressing out and they finally get it in, but it's not good quality or whatever. Then at that time, while everyone's in that position, it's like, hey guys, I think it's really good that we do put deadlines so we're not like this, and people listen even more. But when people are comfortable, it's very hard for them to listen if their culture's the wrong way, okay? So I do suggest do it before. I would say it in the beginning. They don't follow it, but when it gets to that point, then when you bring it up when it's urgent in their minds and they're more willing to listen, just to let you know, right? But for you yourself, keep your deadline. Yeah, because then you can't really say anything if you're the one rushing at the very end too. Let's go to Kang Yoon in KL. Kang Yoon in KL says, Kang Yoon, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I don't know how to say no. What should I do? Say no. Just kidding, right? So you don't know how to say no. Okay, so the thing you have to understand is there's an order you want to do it in, and people always do it in the wrong order. You know what I mean? So this is the wrong order. Hey, can you do this for me? that I'm really struggling these days, and I'm going through this like thing right now, and my kids are saying this to me, and then my mom said like this, and the person's like, okay, so are you saying no? No, this is the wrong way to do it. You have to tell them the answer first. And if you want to give them a reasoning behind it, then you give it after. So the person's not saying, oh my gosh, you're going to be just taking them on a wild goose chase. So like my phone broke, so like I can't contact people, and then it's like this, and then I don't know what to do, and then is it yes or no? Just tell me if it's yes or no. You want to tell them yes or no first, like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I'm just going through a really tough time with this and this right now, so I won't be able to bring it in on time, right? And you want to be clear with that first. And if you're having a hard, you don't know how to say no, it's not so much you don't know how to say no, because anyone can say no, right? That's not the hard part. The hard part is the heart to say no. And what I do recommend you is at home, say no 100 times. I'm dead serious, because you're not used to the you're not going to say it. You have to be confident with it, and you have to practice it. No, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I'm sorry. And look in the mirror, because when you look in the mirror, you can see if you look angry. Like, imagine like this. No. That's not good, right? It's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't do this. I have this, and this, but next time I'll try to help out even better. Right? So you need to practice the no. I'm dead serious. You need to practice a no. Just like I was in sales, I'm scared of, in the beginning, everyone's scared of talking to strangers, but you have to practice it. We practiced it for 30 minutes every day before we went out to do sales, right? Practice your no's. All right, let's go to Celeste. Celeste in Malaysia says, hey, oh wow, she even said hi to me. All right, she says, hey Sky, how do you say no without feeling guilty, especially if you're not in a great emotional state and someone starts venting to you? Okay. So this is something where it almost feels like people are trying to make you feel guilty because they really, really need it, okay? So my good suggestion to you first is, like, if it's something it's too much for you, right? Number one is listen to them first, and then after, right? When you say no, listen to them first, say no, and say, you know what? I'm going to help you find someone though. Let me see if I can help you find someone. I know someone who might be able to help you, right? So you don't want to leave it just like this, like just no, because at that point, then the reason why we feel guilty is because now they're left by themselves. They need someone to help them, and you can't help them, but you just see them walking around like, and they walk away, and then you feel guilty, like, oh, it's because of me, I didn't help them, so now I feel guilty, right? No. What happens is, if as people who really care about this, I'm assuming because you feel guilty, it's someone you care about. And because it's someone you care about, you should at least try to help them. It's like, hey, I can't do this, but you know what? I know some people that I can ask for you, right? I'm actively going to ask, and I'll get back to you by tomorrow. And that has to do with no end, right? What I talked about today is schedule it. Say, hey, let me get back to you by tomorrow morning. I'm going to ask about 3 friends of mine who I think can help you out, all right? And they'll be like, oh, really? It's like, yeah, I'm sorry I can't do it, but let me find something. Let me help you out. Let me see if I can get someone to help you out with it, and I'll help you. I'll try to ask some people by tomorrow morning. I'll let you know. And then you let them know, follow up later. But yeah, part of feeling very, very guilty about it is because we care about them and they're good people. Like, no one asks you for favors unless you know them, right? So listen to everything, all the venting. That's you understand it. Say no, but also help them out. And that's one way to ease. And it's something we should do. We should help them out because they are friends and stuff too. Okay. I hope that helps out. Thank you so much, Celeste. Let's go over to last question for today. Last question for the day is from Ichigo. All right, Ichigo. And Ichigo is in Korea, and she's asking, there's something that I should do, but if I do it, another person will have a hard time. That person knows it and accepts for me to do it, but I really don't want to hurt them. Okay. So this is a pretty tough one. I'm going to have to read that again. Something that I should do, but if I do it, another person will have a hard time. That person knows it and accepts it, but I really don't want to hurt this person. Okay, so this is interesting because, yeah, there are one thing that you have to do really well is the discernment, right? And it's like, for instance, I'll give you, like, if a situation that can hurt someone else is, like, for instance, like in high school, you're called to the principal's office and you have to tell the truth, and then if you tell the truth of who cheated on the test, then your friend is in there, and then they're gonna get in trouble too, right? But then it's the right thing to do, right? And that is something, and the great part about this Ichigo, the thing that's great about this is the person knows it and they're okay with it. They're okay with it, right? Which is a great thing, because if they're not okay with it, it becomes even harder. This is something that I do believe has to do with people's moral principles, right? Because if we take it from the very extreme sense, if someone commits a crime and you're the one that saw it, but the person in the crime is a friend of yours, does that mean you don't tell it, even though someone else got badly injured or hurt? It's a moral principle, right? And the one thing that's, I would say that is very, very great about people is if they have integrity. Integrity, they stay the same. Right? And even if it's going to cause pain to other people, it is the right thing to do. But I'm assuming from your discussion there is that the person knows, and you probably discussed with that person and they're okay with it, which means that after discussion's done, yes, because you care about them and they're going to get hurt from it, yes, you're going to care for them, but usually, in most cases, there's a right thing to do. There is a right, it's better to have a moral principle of where you always stand. Right? The moment you break it is when you keep breaking yourself. Right? It's good to have a moral line and a moral standard of how you want to live. And the reason why people will respect you is because you're always the same. The worst is when you have a moral code, but you only keep it with your friends and you don't keep it with other people. Then there's no integrity there in your life, and people will call you on it. Well, why'd you do that for your friend? Why didn't you do that for me? But if you stay the same the entire time with your moral principles, then no matter what, people will respect you in the end. And I think that is something that's much more important, is the type of person who you want to be and the person you want to become. Okay? Thank you so much, Ichigo. Great question. And I'm glad it looks like you talked to that person too, who knows what's going to happen. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening to today's Bubble Talk. Really, really good one. I think this is something that everyone was asking about, how to avoid burnout. And I hope that you guys understood all the 4 points. And thank you so much for all of you who asked the questions. I know it's not easy. It's a little bit easier because no one sees your face and stuff like that. But it's brave to ask your questions here. And once again, remember, Espresso with Sky YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell. And those of you who want to sign up, this Saturday, 1 p.m., we're going to go a little bit deeper into the Bible. But like this, we're going to go into life. Okay? Everyone have a wonderful Thursday, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
We believe in the same God, but we are on different